I'd like to hand over to you now to share your biggest takeaway and your 3 top tips.
Great. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Good stuff. My name's Max. I'm going to talk about storytelling. So my top tip, I suppose, is we've got a lot less resources in some way at the moment. One resource we've got more of is time, and it's a good chance to try something a bit different and learn a new skill. I sorted out my pension the other day. I'm 30 years too late, but I did it. How about trying some storytelling? So storytelling in a nutshell is this. Stories are about a hero. The hero wants something. There's something getting in the way, and they overcome what's getting in the way to get what they want, right? Simple. But we often in businesses tell stories with the wrong hero. And this is going to connect, I think, there's stuff Sarah's going to talk about with blogs, and we've just heard from Amanda in terms of sales, is who is the hero when you're telling stories on your social media, in your emails, on your blogs? It is your customer. And I like to think of it like this. The myth of Theseus and the Minotaur. You may have done this at school. If you haven't, I'll tell you what it is. So this is an ancient Greek myth, and it's about Theseus. So you've got Crete and Athens, and King Minos of Crete was an awful man and kept on attacking Athens. So Athens surrendered, and in exchange for surrender, they had to send 12 men over to Crete every year to be fed to the Minotaur, who was a half man, half bull creature who lived in a labyrinth. Simple. Eventually, they have enough of this, the Athenians, and Theseus says, I'm going to go over there, I'm going to kill the Minotaur. So he goes over to Crete, and on the beach, Princess Ariadne, King Minos's daughter, gives him a ball of yarn and a sword and a shield to help him, because she immediately falls in love with him, as women often do in stories written by men. Anyway, so he goes into this labyrinth and he lets out the yarn to find his way out. He sees the Minotaur, kills the Minotaur with the sword, gets out, gets back on the ship with Ariadne, and he's off. Now, the hero of that story is clearly Theseus, right? But it's impossible to do what he did without Princess Ariadne. She gave him the gear. She was the mentor that helped him out. And when we tell stories as brands, you are Princess Ariadne. It's really important to keep that front and center when you're telling stories, especially at the moment, okay? Because the customer has changed. Demand is less, we know that, but demand is different. And often I see people selling the same old stuff with the same old story. I think we need to reshape that. So that's the first thing I tell you, is know your hero with storytelling. Secondly, and I'll keep this nice and quick, be story worthy. What stories are you telling that anyone's going to care about? I'll tell you who's doing a great job of this at the moment is Brewdog. You may have seen, obviously, the Dominic Cummings stuff. I'm not going to get political. Barnard Castle Eye Test. They released a beer called Barnard Castle Eye Test, and it went viral, and it was a really great story that showed their brand, their purpose in action. And stories we show, we don't tell. So maybe stop talking about how you care about customers. Show us something small that you're doing. I think Amanda's story about thank you notes, great one. And then finally, I want to talk about the elephant, the rider, and the path. And this is going to be a short story, and then I'll stop talking. So Jonathan Haidt from NYU University, he's got this metaphor for behavioral change. And he says, you've got to think about the elephant, the rider, and the path. Now, we've got 2 bits in our brain, the rational, logical bit and the emotional bit. The logical bit is the rider, and the emotional bit is the elephant. So imagine the rider's sat on top of the elephant. The rider might think, I want to go over there. But the elephant has to agree. The emotional bit has to agree. How the rider can try and pull the elephant. He can try and push the elephant where he wants to go. But the emotion isn't on side. It ain't moving. Finally, the path. If you want the elephant to go down the path, clear the obstacles and make it short. Now, this is the power of storytelling. They put emotion front and center, and they make a message concise, brief, and memorable. So how can you put more emotion into your communications? Something I did that went a little bit viral by my standards anyway at the start of this crisis was I talked about grief and the grief we're going through. Some people literally, as I know on this call, and some people in terms of our careers, our lives, but the vulnerability and the real emotional content of that stood out and spread. And I got way more engagement than anything else I've done. So how can you get more emotion into your storytelling? So know your hero, be story worthy, think about the elephant, the rider, and the path. I've got a book coming out. That was one of the things I was grieving. It was meant to come out 3 weeks ago. It's been pushed to August. It's called Improvise. Use the secrets of improv to achieve extraordinary results at work. I'm sure that will be shoved in an email for you after this. If not, thanks for having me, and tell more stories.
Brilliant. Thank you, Max. I love that. I think I visualized my teenagers as the elephants that were doing what I wanted them to do. So now I've got some tactics around them as well. But thank you. And yes, the link to the book will be shared. Thank you for joining us.